So these tables I made the other day on in the shed here for our hardware store. Pretty solid 2 top tables that if you put them together, they can be 4 top tables. And they're pretty strong, pretty sturdy when you sit in it. It doesn't really rock. You can sit on the top of them and they're pretty solid. You know, I'm 180 pounds. And it folds up pretty good. But anyway, I posted these and a lot of people were saying, hey, could you make me one? Well, no, I'm too lazy. So what I can do, because I have to make 3 more, is I'm going to show you how to make them step by step. That way you can get off your lazy butt and make it yourself.
This project will be sponsored by Blood Oath number 6.
So what you'll need for lumber are 6 2x6x8s pressure treated and 2 2x4x8s pressure treated. And then we can get started. Okay, we're in the shop, and I'm just going to go over the tools that you're going to need or might need. Definitely going to need a miter saw. You can't see it in the frame right now, but it's right over there, or a chop saw. You need a driver or a drill. You're going to need a tape measure for sure. A level is useful. Combination square is useful. You might need a hammer, but I don't think you will. If you measure properly, you'll be good. Need a couple of clamps. And I think, you want exterior screws, 2.5-inch exterior screws, or patio screws. What are they called? I'm pretty sure they're called patio screws or exterior screws. And then you want 3-inch galvanized, 3/8-inch diameter, 3.5-inch galvanized flag screws. Keeps everything secure. And you need a glass, and you don't need a glass that's wide enough to put ice in it, because we're not putting ice in it. We're drinking Blood Oath number 6 today for this project, and we're not going to water it down. We're just going to drink it nice and neat and enjoy the lovely flavors. Cheers. So here we are at the miter saw, and we are going to start by chopping the long seat support. That's going to support the seats of this table. It's the longest piece that we're going to cut. So I always like to find kind of the crappiest piece of wood. See how that has like a little imperfection in it? It goes underneath. Nobody cares. No one's gonna look at it. If they're looking at that, they're looking at the wrong thing. But we can start by chopping that. I always chop off the first bit of the wood. And the reason I do that is so that I know I'm getting a straight cut, a straight edge. Because we're buying this timber for like $7, $8 at Home Depot. Do you really think it's gonna have a nice straight edge? Maybe sometimes, but I don't trust it. So I always chop it, that first bit first, just to make sure. Now we want to make this 54 9/16 long. 54 9/16. I also forgot to tell you, you need a marker or a pencil. Nice Sharpie is good with a fine point. 54 9/16. 54 9/16. Boom. Mark it. Boom. Go. Got it marked. Get on the miter. I know what some of you are thinking. Why isn't he wearing goggles? Protection. Listen. Eye protection and gloves are very good tools to have if you're working with saws and everything, but I'm too old to learn new tricks. I've been doing this for 29 years according to Facebook, and I still have my eyes, I still have all my fingers, so I'm pretty careful. But like I said, if you're new at this, wear safety goggles and gloves. There we go. That's our first piece. We're not done yet. So, let's get the measuring tape again. We want to go 3 1/8 inch down and mark it. 3 1/8, both sides. Gotta excuse the mess in this workshop. Measure twice, very important to measure twice. Okay. And then from there, I'm gonna cut where I marked 3 1/8. I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna cut a 45-degree angle from there. So I'm gonna turn my miter saw 45 degrees. Bring it back. I mean, you don't have to do it this way, but you can leave that square edge and not have that 45-degree angle, but it kind of looks, what's the word I'm looking for? Unprofessional. Not that I'm a professional, because I surely am not. Let me just measure that 3 1/2 again. I always use my pen. That's why I have to wear a hat all the time, because I usually just stick it in my hat. Three 1/8, mark it. Line it up. Boom, done. So, as you can see, that is our seat support. That's the biggest piece we're going to cut. Cheers. So the next thing we're going to do is do tabletops. The pieces for the tabletop, we need 5 pieces for the tabletop at 28 inches, and then we need 2 long seat parts, 28 inches. So the same thing, same part. So we're going to need 7 total 28-inch 2x6s. Also, another thing you need to know to do, don't forget, because this can get messy, is find something while you're chopping to cover your bourbon. So while you're chopping, put that on top, doesn't get the sawdust in, and you can continue working and have that stuff between your teeth. It's just, you know. So anyway, 7 28-inch 2x6s. So what's the next step? Next thing we're going to cut are our short seat supports. So there were some scrap pieces of 2x6s from those 28-inch cuts that we did. So I'm going to use those to make, I believe it's 10.5 inch. I want to mark it 10.5 inch, cut it, and then do that 3 3 1/8" mark, and then cut it at a 45-degree angle. Again, I want 2 of those. And before we do, let's see. Yeah. Get that someplace safe. There we go. So, like I said, got 2 of these scraps. Make sure we get the straight edge, the cut edge. Okay. Take a measure. Do a 10.5" mark it. Boom, boom, boom. 10.5" mark it. Get my square out. Mark it and cut. There we go. One. And like I said, I want to mark this like the long seat support, 3 1/4". No, I'm sorry, not 3 1/4, 3 1/8". Mark the edge. Do the same over here. Mark the edge, 3 1/8". Sorry, I can't talk today. Turn my miter saw to 45 degrees. I want to put the blade on that mark, and that's where I'm going to cut it. Nice 45-degree angle. Do the same thing. Two of them, and those are our small seat supports. I'll just put them over there with my long seat supports. Okay, these are a little complicated, but not too complicated. The next step we need to make are our long legs for the table itself that holds up and supports the table. Again, 2x6s, and so good. I'll put that right up here. I don't lose it. There we go. So we get some 2x6s. Now this we want to start by cutting a 30-degree angle. So I'm turning my miter saw to 30 degrees. Sorry, can't see. There it is, right there. Locking it at 30. And you know how I usually cut that piece off to make sure I have a straight edge? Well, we don't have to do that here with this fresh one. We'll just cut the 30 degree. Once we do that, we grab it and we measure out 32 3/4. 32 3/4. I mark it, and that's where I want to do another same 30-degree angle cut. And we want 2 of these legs. So the long legs that supports the table. All right, you see where I marked it at 32 3/4. Just make sure, always good, especially when you've been drinking. Measure twice. 32 3/4. Yes, perfect. And just cut at that angle. Now, see that? You got the 30-degree angle here, 30 same parallel angle. So when you put it up against the table, now this will be the ground, this will be the tabletop, it'll be level. And so to cheat, instead of measuring, especially since we're doing weird angles and stuff, you can line up these two pieces together. And then mark it over here. And then just cut that. So again, you need 2 of those pieces, 2 of those legs, long legs. There we go. Perfect. 2. Put those over here. Now with this extra scrap piece that we have, we're going to do this short seat. We have a long seat and a short seat, and I'll explain that when we go to build it. So bring it back to 0, 90-degree cuts. I'm going to cut off that. So it's nice and straight. And I want this to be 25 7/8 long. So the small seat is 25 7/8. Just gotta make sure, because you know, and you need 2 of those also. So I got that scrappy, so just keep in mind we gotta cut another one. We do need 2 of them. And that's the small seat part. The large seat part will extend a little bit, and then when I put it together, I'll show you why we have to cut the shorter one. Okay, next cut. So what we're gonna cut next are the tabletop supports and the short legs. So fresh new 2x6, I don't have to cut that little piece off because I'm gonna be turning it to a 30-degree angle, locking my miter saw at 30 degrees and cutting it that first. Getting rid of that scrap. All this sawdust. This does get dirty down here when you're cutting. That's why it's very important that you have this cover on your blood oath. Otherwise you get sawdust all over it. And with something as good as Blood Oath number 6, I mean they're up to, I think they're gonna release a 10 soon. And I can't wait. I need to get 10. This is my last number 6. Something as good as Blood Oath number 6, you don't want any sawdust in it. But anyway. So we got the 30-degree. Get our trusty tape measure and measure out 34 3/8. 34 3/8. I just want to make Measure 34 3/8 and mark it right at the tip. Now you're gonna mark it from, like I said, the long end that you cut, from here to here. Actually, it'd be easier to do this. Nice little trick. 34 3/8. Get your square, boom. Mark it, 34 3/8. Get your square again. Mark it just down here. And right there, you're gonna cut another 30-degree angle that way. From that mark right there. 34 3/8. We wanna turn our miter saw at 30 degrees this way, this direction. Lock it. Again, line it up to that mark. And if you're off just a little bit, it's all right. Just picnic tables. So this is our bottom table support. The planks, the 2x6s, tabletops go here, 5 of them. And I'll show it to you later. Put that over here. And then, now we're going to do the short legs. And I believe that's 17 and 1/8 is what we want to do. So again, we're going to take this long end, cut 17, or measure 17 and 1/8. Oh, so good. 17 1/8. Mark it up here. Get my straight edge. Mark it on top. Mark it down here so I can see it when I cut. Move my miter saw to 30 degrees because we want it to be in the same direction. The angle has to be in the parallel to each other because these are leg supports, short leg supports. Line it up, make sure it's all good. Cheat again, because again I've been drinking, so we gotta line this up here. Saves us from having to do the math and measuring. Mark it. Cut. Right where I marked at 30 degrees again. Okay, perfect. Now, cut off this angle because I'm going to use this piece to make my other 25 and 25 and 7/8 25 and 7/8 short seat part. 25 and 7/8. Mark it. And cut that end off. There's my short piece. And I have the legs. Short seat piece. The legs, I'm not done cutting the legs yet. I got one more thing to do with that. All right, so where's my trusted measuring tape? Okay, so at this angle, from here to here, we're going to measure 5 inches and mark it. 5 5 inches. And mark. See what I did there? From here to here is 5 inches, I marked it. Same thing with the other piece. 5 inches, mark. Now I'm gonna make, I want this to be a 90-degree angle. So I line it up here. Add this at 0, 90 degrees. Oh my goodness, it's so dusty. Okay, mark it, and cut where it's marked, 90 degrees. So it looks like that. 2 pieces, left and right seat support. Ta-da! And there we go, to our next cuts. Whew. Losing my mind. It must be all the sawdust. Maybe I should vacuum a little bit. Whew. But now I can see. Get some rid of that sawdust. Then we'll get to our next cut. So, what we're going to cut now are the under seat supports. The under seat supports got a little bit tricky, but it helps keep the seat stable when you're sitting on it. Makes it pretty sturdy. Oh, if you could smell this. Okay, so Blood Oath is a sherry cask bourbon. So they take the bourbon, they put it in a sherry barrel, let it age a little bit longer in a sherry cask, and oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. Also, probably the best tool you can have in the shop. All I did was take a piece of wood that in the backyard and chop it up, sand it, stain it, not stain it, polyurethane it, and it makes a great, I mean, you can make it as a coaster, or as you see, I use it as a sawdust preventive bourbon. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been drinking. Come on. So anyway, what you want to do is you want to cut this at a 22.5 degree angle. So on the miter saw, 22.5. Lock it and cut. Again, fresh new 2x6. And I want 2 of these. So I'm not wasting any wood. I'll just, there we go. And then from here to here, I want 24 and 11/16. Where's my measuring thing? There it is. Where's my pen? My God. That's why I need a hat. I swear to God, I always lose my pen. Hope I didn't shop vac it. That would suck. Where the heck did my marker go? Man, this is why you should always have a spare pen. Oh, I got a pencil over here. One of my daughter's old pencils. 24 and 11/16. 24 and 11/16. 24. Where is it? 24. Just mark it here. Do my little trick with the square. 1, 2, mark it. And that's where I'm cutting again. Again, I want it to be So where I marked it here at 24 and 11, let's just measure that one more time. 24 and 11/16, 24, 11/16, yep. Always measure twice. Cut once, measure twice, right? The old cliche. I'm gonna save myself from measuring again. Like I said, when you're enjoying some good bourbon and you're doing projects, it's a good way to cheat. Nice and smooth over here. Mark it over here. Okay. Okay. Now this is all scrap. Nice piece of wood that you can use for something else. So I'm gonna set that aside. We're not done with these guys yet. So now, from here to here, we gotta measure 4.5 inches. Very much like the small seat legs. So 4.5 inches from the tip here to the tip here. Make a mark. Still, what if I did chop back my, that would suck. My Sharpie. Be looking for that for days. Okay, so they're both marked. Turn it so I can cut a 90 degree. And cut. I promise we're almost done with all the cutting. Once you get all your pieces, everything goes together pretty easily. There we go. 2 of these bad boys, under seat supports. So these are the last cuts we're gonna do, and we're doing it with our 2x4. I thought we needed 2, but we only needed 1 2x4 for this project. I don't know. So 1 2x4. We're gonna cut the under table support. And we're gonna cut that at 22 3/4. So again, mark off. Again, I don't want the factory cut, so I'm gonna cut my own. Nice straight cut, make sure it's nice and flush to the saw. So it's nice and tight. 22 3/4. 22 3/4. Mark it, mark it. 22 3/4. Sorry, they line it up. And what I want to do now, this is a tabletop under table support. It's another small piece, and it has to be a 45-degree angle here and here. It doesn't have to be, but if you've got your knees underneath the table and you hit that, it's going to kind of hurt. If it's on a 45-degree, you're not going to feel it, especially if we stand it down. So let's turn our miter saw down to 45 degrees. Lock it. Line it up. And then cut. That's what it wants, what you want it to look like. Boom, just like that. set that aside. The next piece, another under table support. And we want that to be 25 3/8. I should straighten that out. There we go. Nice and tight. Don't want anything bad to happen. That was kind of weird. Nice and locked. Okay. Another important, whoa, shoot. Another important measure. 2 fingers. Boom. Oh no. I got sawdust on my coaster. No. Oh wait. I found it. It was in my back pocket. Oh, I gotta stop smelling all the sawdust is getting to me. This sawdust, you know, you work in a workshop all day long, you know, and cutting stuff, especially pressure treated, gets you dizzy. So you gotta be careful. Get some fresh air. Whew. But anyway, I'm glad I found my Sharpie. Let's put this back up here. Oh. So this cut we want at 25 5/8. 25 5/8. Mark it. Boom. I'll cut that. Put it in my back pocket. Don't let me forget. 25 5/8. And I have a nice piece of pressure treated 2x4, but I'm gonna need that for something else. I'll show you later. And this I'm also going to have to cut. So theoretically, and I've already marked it on my saw from the last 3 that I made. You want to go up 3/4 of an inch and then cut a 45-degree angle. Now, I've already marked it on my saw what that needs to look like. So it's marked right here. So this is the angle I need to cut. This is where it needs to be. I've already all measured this, but that's what you want to do. You want to go 3/4 of an inch up. I'm just guessing, right? And then you want to cut 45 degrees. So to save ourselves the time, when you're doing it yourself, that's what you want to do. But like I said, I've already marked it where it's going to be. See, just like that. So it's 90 degree from here to here, and then 45 up and around. Do the same side, same thing to the other side. Again, I've already got it marked on my saw with a pencil marker. And there we go. So that's all of our cuts that we need to do for this project. And we are done cutting. We can start assembling, which is reason to celebrate. Part 1 is done, and I still have a ton of bourbon left. Notice you want to drink this nice and slow. You don't want to rush it. How much should I drink? To being done with the cutting and moving to the next part. Good stuff. So good.